Why does the narcissist take pictures of you when you look bad? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The involvement with the narcissist leads to so many questions. Why did this happen? What was meant by that? What was going on when this was said? How could somebody behave this way? Question after question after question. People struggle to make sense because initially they often do not realize that they're dealing with a narcissist. They attempt to evaluate the behavior of the other person through their own world lens. That simply results in failure. You're trying to understand a person that is not like you by thinking that they are like you. Often you will say such things as, "If it were me, I would have." Well, that's entirely irrelevant, because the individual is not like you. Even where the individual gains an awareness of narcissism, they will often still struggle to understand, because they've not fully embraced the concept of narcissism. And furthermore, their own emotional thinking is so high, it makes it difficult for them to embrace what they're learning. Intellectually, they understand what they're reading or watching, but it won't sink in. There are repeated questions that just won't seem to go away. And that is why I've regularly explained to people the importance of knowing when you're ready to understand, and sometimes you're just not ready. And what you have to do is maintain your no-contact regime and get your emotional thinking down, and then you can revisit the questions. Naturally, many people fall into the trap of believing that if they understand, that will help them move forward. Whilst as a concept that is true, it's about understanding at the right time. And often, people try to understand at the wrong time. A variety of questions arise, and one such question that has appeared is asking, why does the narcissist take pictures of a person when that individual looks bad? Why would someone do that? After all, if you're in a relationship with that person, or for instance they're a friend or family member, surely you would care about that person so that you wouldn't take a picture of that person when they look bad. What do we mean by look bad? Well, for instance, it might simply that you just don't look your best. You might have woken up, you might be makeup free, your hair might be all over the place, you might be looking unwell, pale and sweaty. You may recall a few years ago that Russell Brand, when he was married to Katy Perry, took a picture of her early in the morning when she wasn't wearing makeup and circulated it. This is the type of behaviour that this video is talking about. But it could also include, for instance, where you might be doing something which perhaps makes you look bad. Perhaps you're engaging in something that ordinarily would be kept private, that many years ago an individual could get away with because there wasn't somebody walking around with a camera or a video camera in their pocket. Nowadays, engage in something and there are a legion of individuals ready to photograph it and film it without hesitation. Thereafter, it ends up at a news outlet, or at the very least somewhere on social media. Why is it that a narcissist would take those photographs of you when you're perhaps doing something that you ought not to do, that puts you in a bad light? And why is it that a narcissist would take pictures of you when you're not looking at your best? Why do so, when purportedly that person ought to care about you? Well, the starting point, of course, is to understand that because the individual is a narcissist, they don't care about you. The narcissist has no emotional empathy and therefore does not care about what happens to you, save to the extent that it serves the purposes of the narcissist. But if you think that the narcissist has an inherent restraint on their behaviour, a buffer which causes them to rein in their behaviour because they love you, or care about you, or like you, then you're sadly mistaken. There is no such restraint. It simply does not exist. The narcissist is unfettered in that regard. Whereas you wouldn't take a picture of somebody when they're not looking at their best because you would think, well, that's not very fair, it's unkind. That's because you have emotional empathy. The narcissist has no such thing keeping them in check. Thus, the ability to do so exists in relation to the narcissist because of the absence of anything keeping the narcissist in check with such behavior. But just because there's nothing stopping them, does that mean then that the narcissist will necessarily do it? Well, of course, the reason that the narcissist then is moved to take that picture is, of course, linked to the pursuit of the prime aims. Taking a picture of you when you're not looking at your best or engaging in something that perhaps you should not be doing is a form of provocation. You, the victim, are being triangulated with the act of the photograph or film taking place. This is done by the narcissist, usually subconsciously, to provoke you, so that you respond in a way which exhibits control and the provision of fuel. It enables the narcissist to say, I've got evidence of you not looking so hot. And the narcissist may immediately make use of it, putting it on social media, thus asserting control over you further by smearing you, in effect, to other people on social media to say, hey, look, here's a picture of my girlfriend, look at the state of her. It's an act of devaluation against you, which is designed to control you and draw fuel from you, and the publication of it is designed to extract responses from other people, thus drawing fuel from them also. It may also be the case that the taking of a photograph can then be used for the purposes of threat. If you don't do what I want, I'm going to send this to your mum. If you don't do what I require, this is going on the internet. Lesser and mid-range narcissists make significant use of threat, especially mid-range narcissists. And therefore, having something that can be held over you in order to compel you to come under control and draw fuel from you, and perhaps provide a residual benefit, is a powerful tool to the narcissist. If you'd like to understand more about why the narcissist uses threats, watch my video of that name. But the taking of a photograph where you don't look so good can then be used as a threat, and thus explains a further use for the narcissist of such action. It is also the case that the photograph could prove to be useful in the future. It is important to make a distinction here. Lesser and mid-range narcissists, when they take that photograph of you not looking good or doing something bad, do so for in the moment. They do it in that moment to gain control, draw fuel, possibly gain some residual benefit. They're not thinking about its future use. This is because their narcissism is designed to cause them to behave in the moment. However, months later, it might be the case that you are on the radar of the narcissist, and the narcissist needs to do something to bring you under control. The narcissism effectively looks in its box of tricks and recalls, we've got this photograph of them up to no good in a bar, or running around outside half naked, or look at this picture of them looking god-awful. We can use that. We can triangulate them by bringing up the past, thus perhaps using it as a hoover, perhaps using it as part of a threat in a hoover, again, in order to get to the prime aims. Understand that when the lesser or mid-range narcissist took that photograph, they were not thinking about its future use. Their narcissism does not work that way. But at a later juncture, the narcissism requiring control at that future point may well look at what occurred in the past and utilize it. An aware narcissist will take that photograph with one eye on its future use. That is because the aware narcissist behaves in a premeditated and calculating fashion. Thus, the aware narcissist may well take a photograph to provoke you in the moment, but will also recognize that there is some future usage for it. The fact is, the narcissist takes a picture of you when you look bad, because the narcissist doesn't care about you, because there's no emotional empathy. The narcissist does so because they have a sense of entitlement to behave as they see fit. They have no accountability for their behaviours. There's nothing to rein them in. They do not recognise the boundary of behaving in such a way. It is a form of manipulation, designed to provoke you for the purposes of getting to the destination of the prime aims, to bring you under control and draw fuel from you and potentially obtain a residual benefit. These are the reasons why the narcissist will take pictures of you when you look bad. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.